Hi, welcome back to the Nonviolent Communication Training Series. My name is Parrish. I'm a nonviolent communication trainer, and today we are going to look at the idea of feelings and needs. Now, I'll recap a little bit from what we were talking about in the last video regarding observations, but to start off, let's get back to kind of what NVC is and the idea that how we communicate matters. So we often communicate with what I would call judgments and evaluations, criticisms, demands, and labels of right or wrong. Speaking and thinking in these ways can often lead to inner turmoil, which often evolves into sadness, anger, or in some cases even physical violence. The practice of nonviolent communication in our daily lives can help eliminate these negative emotions and resolve conflict, resulting in harmonious relationships and peaceful environments that support life. So going back to the idea of observation. So the first step is observing the situation objectively. In any given situation, you want to look at the thing that's happening without evaluation, without blame, without judgment of yourself or anyone else. So we're using our senses, sight, hearing, touch, taste, smell, to simply observe. The example I used in the observation video was a parent coming into a room, seeing toys spread out all over the floor, and the parent simply states, "There are toys on your floor scattered around the room." Not making any moralistic judgments about how the room's a mess or that the child is wrong, simply that there are toys on the floor scattered around the room. So you avoid adding evaluations to what you see. Now, some people may not agree on evaluations, but objective facts can give us a mutual point of agreement to talk about. You literally can't argue that there are indeed toys on the floor scattered around the room because it's an observable fact that is really happening. So step 2 is stating how this observation is making you feel. The feeling is different than thinking. Instead of applying judgment or criticism or blaming yourself, your child, anybody else, you identify and express how your observation, for instance, of toys being on the floor scattered around the room, is making you feel. The goal here is not to shame anyone else, but to help identify what you or the other person may be feeling at any given moment. So going back again to the child with the toys on the floor. So you can state what you observe and how you feel by saying, "I noticed that there are toys on your floor scattered around the room again. I'm afraid this might affect your safety," for instance. Alternatively, you can say, "I see toys on the floor how are things going? You can guess the feelings. You can literally guess the feeling and be wrong, and what happens is the other person will very often, if you guess wrong, if you say, "Hey, I see toys all over the floor, are you feeling sad?" The child may say, "No, I'm feeling bored," perhaps. It works much better than the idea of making a more general statement like, "How are you?" Because the other person may not be able to, they may not have the skills to figure out how they're really feeling. If you pinpoint it, it's much more easy for the other person to gather their feelings and evaluate them in a more clear way so that they can recount to you how it is that they are actually feeling. It's quite valuable. So feel free to guess. The next thing we want to do is connect with a need. You want to connect the observation and feeling with a need that isn't being met. So what's happening and how we're feeling are a result of needs that aren't being met, such as food, trust, love, understanding. The reason why people feel unpleasant or unhappy is because they have needs that are not being satisfied. And sometimes they may not even be aware of the need because they can't identify the feeling that connects with that need. So we're here to help them. When connecting your observation and feeling with a need, you can state your need of your own or try to guess what the other person needs. So again, in the case of the child with the toys on the floor, you can say, "I've noticed that you've had toys on your floor since last week," or again, that's the observation. "I feel worried," that's the feeling, "because I want you to be safe in your room." The safety is the need. Observation, you see the toys, you're feeling worried because you need your child to be safe and not trip or step on the toy, or perhaps other people coming into the room and becoming injured by, in fact, stepping on the toys all over the floor. An example in a personal relationship might be, "I heard you raise your voice at me earlier." That's the observation. You're saying this without evaluation, simply the fact that you noticed that the other person's voice got louder. "I feel upset. Were you angry because I wasn't able to meet you yesterday?" The need for companionship, perhaps. So you're making these guesses. And as I said before, the other person will be able to understand this empathic language because it's being said without judgment or blame. That's really the magic of NVC. So you can go ahead and think along these lines, and as we continue with this series, we'll get more in depth and provide more examples for you to more clearly understand the principles of nonviolent communication. Thank you very much for listening. I'm really happy to be making the series, and please don't forget to Give us a like if you enjoyed this content, and thank you for being willing to subscribe to the channel. Have a good night.